Sorry, I left your luxury car with the keys inside. Now it's gone, my sister said after I refused to pay for a $18,000 wedding ceremony. My mother added, "You're not poor. You can buy a new one." I wasn't nervous. That night, I updated the access to the family accounts and restricted her access to shared cards. But at 7:59 a.m., she received an unexpected message. "My name is Aaron. I'm 30, the older brother, the family problem solver, who knows where the spare keys are and which bill is due on the 15th versus the 28th. I work in operations at a mid-sized logistics company, and, on the side, I keep the books for my parents' small supply shop because you're good with numbers, son. I live in a one-bedroom apartment with a second-hand couch, a rice cooker that never quits, and a whiteboard on the fridge where I write down what I owe, what I'm owed, and what I'm done doing for free. In my family, roles were assigned early. My sister, Nora, is the sensitive one, the golden one, the one whose feelings are considered a high-risk asset that must be protected at any cost. My mother, Lena, says it like a diagnosis. Nora feels too much. My father, Stuart, says it with a sigh. Your sister can't handle stress. And me? Aaron's independent. They say, a label that sounds like praise until you watch how it's used as a crowbar to pry you into every crisis. We grew up above the shop. Ink and cardboard in the air. A bell that dinged every time someone pushed the door. I learned early that inventory doesn't lie. You either have 15 boxes of gloves or you don't. Numbers keep you honest. Feelings in my house. Feelings decide who eats the last slice of cake and who pays for it. On the Thursday, everything shifted. I got a text from Nora. "Can you come by? Mom wants to talk wedding budgets." I had just worked a 10-hour shift. I still went. Habit. At the table, there was chamomile tea for Nora, black coffee for my mother, a legal pad in front of me. My father hovered but didn't sit. Nora showed me a vendor folder. Flowers, venue, photographer, live string trio, a ceremony arch that looked like it cost as much as a used car. My job, apparently, was to smile and say, "Sure, I'll cover it," the way I have with too many temporary expenses. Nora cleared her throat. "It's not the whole wedding. Just the ceremony package. 18,000. The reception we've got covered." 18,000, I repeated. I wrote the number on my pad, even though I didn't need to. "Why me?" "Because you're doing well," Mom said. "You have savings. And your sister has had a hard year. We want it to be special." "I'll give you a gift," I said. "I'm not paying the package." Nora blinked fast, then slower. She looked at Mom. Mom looked at Dad. Dad looked at the floor. Nora said, "So you're saying no?" "I'm saying no." She smiled like it hurt. "Okay." We ate in a silence that didn't crack. I took my plate to the sink. I told them I had to get up early. Down on the street, I reached my car, my one expensive thing. A 6-year-old luxury sedan I bought used after 5 years of saving and 3 years of walking. The back left tire had a smear of mud that wasn't there this morning. My door handle was sticky with something sweet. I wiped it off with a napkin from the glove box and thought nothing. The next night, after work, I was back at the shop to drop off a box of toner. Nora was there, leaning on the counter like a cat in a warm window. She lifted her phone, took a photo of me, laughed at something on the screen. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she echoed. She twirled Dad's key ring around her finger. "Oh, speaking of keys, funny story." "What story?" "I took your car at lunch. I needed to pick up favors at the mall, and the van smelled like bleach. Your car smells like cedar. Anyway, I left the keys inside. Walked away for 2 minutes." She shrugged. "Now it's gone." For a full second, the room sounded like the inside of a seashell. I heard the hum of the fridge, a siren blocks away, my heartbeat in my ears. "You took my car," I said, to make sure the words were real. Nora tilted her head. "You weren't using it." Mom appeared in the doorway, wine glass in hand. "Aaron, don't be dramatic. You're not poor. You can buy another." I looked at my sister. I looked at my mother. I looked at the bell on the shop door and thought about how it rang every time someone walked away with something they paid for. "Okay," I said. The word felt like a coin. I put it down. Noted. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't run to the mall. I didn't call the police in front of them. I stood there, nodded, and stacked a fresh ream of paper on the counter. The trigger had been pulled. I just didn't react the way they expected. This didn't start with the car. It started when we were 6 and 8. If Nora got a B+, we went for ice cream. If I got an A, Dad asked, couldn't it be A+? If Nora forgot her lunch, the whole shop shut down so Mom could drive it to school. If I forgot mine, Mom said, use your brain. Borrow $1 from the office jar. Rolls. They sink into you like ink. At 13, I got my first job sweeping the shop floor for $5 an hour. At 14, I learned to reconcile the till because you're good with numbers, son. At 15, I learned that good with numbers meant please donate your time. I adjusted inventory, stayed late, helped dad write polite emails to suppliers he owed, made lists, made budgets, made magic out of thin margins. When Nora turned 16, she got a used convertible for confidence. The plate frame said, "Princess, I got a congratulations, you're legal to work nights now" speech. When she dented the car backing into a sign, Mom cried and said, "This is why she's so sensitive. The world is hard on her." When I cracked a phone screen, Mom said, "You'll replace it with your own money." I did. College was the same script with bigger numbers. I worked in the campus mailroom, then at a copy center, then as a night dispatcher. I kept the shop's books remotely for Dad, setting up a cloud account he called Witchcraft. Meanwhile, Nora changed majors 3 times. Each change came with fees. Mom called them investments in your sister's happiness. I loaned money once, then twice. Then what I loaned became gifts, because in our house the sensitive one doesn't owe, she deserves. After graduation, I moved back to the city and took the operations job. 46 hours a week on paper, 60 in practice. It paid well enough to rent a decent place and save. The shop kept struggling. Margins were thin. Dad refused to modernize. He still wrote checks by hand. Mom still negotiated by doing that thing where she touched your arm and said, "You know we've been loyal for years." Suppliers finally stopped taking touch as currency. "Help your father," Mom would say, and I did. I migrated them to accounting software. I set up automatic backups. I made a simple dashboard: payables, receivables, taxes due. The numbers did not care that we were family. The numbers said, pay or pay penalties. I can mark out my 20s in bills and birthdays. I paid the shop's late fee on a sales tax return once, $312. I paid for a pallet of nitrile gloves when Dad's card declined, $1,180. I paid Nora's last-minute rent, just for this month. You're the only person I can trust, $950. I repaired my car's alternator and drove her to an interview at a boutique gym 40 minutes away because her confidence car had vibes. I never saw the $950 again. I did see her Instagram post from a rooftop the next week, manifesting abundance. When Nora met Zach, a bartender with a good jawline and a flexible relationship with employment, she told me first. "He understands me," she said. "He says I deserve a soft life." I nodded. Everyone deserves a soft life. Someone just has to do the hard math to make it possible. The wedding planning started casual. A Pinterest board. Someday. Then, my parents took it as a cure for everything. "This will give Nora focus," Mom said. "This will show her that things can go right." The budget part landed on me. Of course it did. At the first planning dinner, I tried to be neutral. I said, "What can you afford without help?" Nora looked at Zach. He looked at his glass. Mom said, "Don't be so corporate. This is about love." Dad said, "What's the harm in a little help from family?" I said, "The harm is you'll make a promise I'll be asked to keep." Everyone laughed. It wasn't a joke. I set a boundary. "I'll give you a gift," I said. "A generous one for my income. I'm not covering line items." "Line items," Mom said, like I'd used a slur. "Flowers, arch, quartet, whatever," I said. "Pick what matters and what you can pay for. I'm not underwriting a theme." Nora pouted. "It's one day. One day with invoices." She texted me later that week, a link to a ceremony package that cost $18,000. "This one is perfect," she wrote. "It includes a live trio and a coordinator so I don't spiral." The marketing copy said effortless elegance. The terms said non-refundable deposit. I spent an hour staring at my budget spreadsheet, at my emergency fund, at the little green line that meant I could breathe if my transmission died. Then I wrote back, "No, I'm not paying this." She didn't respond for a day. When she did, it was short. "I'm disappointed in you." Mom followed with a call. "Your sister is crushed. You could finally do something big for her." "I've already done a lot of big somethings." "You're independent," she said, like it was a free pass she could hand out. "You'll bounce back." "I'm independent," I said slowly, "which is why I choose what I do with my money." She went quiet. Then she said, "We'll talk at dinner." We talked. I said no. They stared at me like I'd broken a vase. The next day, Nora borrowed my car and then told me it was gone because she left the keys inside for 2 minutes. It was a violation, sure. It was also a message. If you won't give when we ask, we'll take and then call it an accident. I drove the shop's van home that night. It smelled like bleach and cardboard. On my passenger seat, I put a yellow legal pad and wrote 4 lines. I'm not a lender of last resort. I'm not your guarantor. I'm not your punching bag when life is hard. I'm your brother, not your bank. I stared at those lines like they were a lock. I realized I'd been turning that key for years and never closing the door. The big scene wasn't a movie. It was a Saturday dinner that started like every other. Mom's roast chicken, Dad's stories about the old days, Nora's fragile smile, Zach tapping his phone under the table. I brought a salad and a folder. I didn't put the folder on the table right away. I waited. First trigger, Dad said. Any word on the car, son? He said it like the weather. Insurance is processing, I said. It was true. I had filed the report. I had the tracker service ping a last known location. It pinged once near an off-ramp and then died. The police took the report and told me the usual. If it shows up, we'll call. It was already gone in my head. So was the part of me that believed my family would take responsibility. Second trigger, Mom said, we should focus on positive things. Nora found the perfect arch. She showed me a photo. White wood, draped fabric, eucalyptus. Isn't it lovely? It is, I said. I won't be paying for it. Zach made a sound. A scoff. Nora stared at her plate. I opened the folder and slid a 1-page document onto the table. It was titled, in plain font, Aaron's Boundaries. Mom laughed. Are we in therapy now? I am, I said. It's helping. You're serious, Dad said. Very. I read, not for drama, but because I know how my family hears things. They hear what they can fight if they think it's a feeling. They hesitate if it's a list. Number 1, I said. I will not pay Nora's wedding ceremony package. I will give a gift within my means. That decision is final. Aaron, Mom started. I held up a hand. Number 2, I will not loan money to cover late fees, impulse buys, or emergencies caused by ignoring budgets. I will help plan. I will not subsidize planning. Nora's voice was small. This is humiliating. It's clarifying, I said. Number 3, I will not allow my property to be used without permission. That includes my car. If you take it again, I call the police from the table we're sitting at. Threats, Dad muttered. Boundaries, I said. Number 4, if I continue to do the shop's books, we formalize it. A contract. Paying. Not, we'll make it up to you. Not you're independent. A rate. Mom's face went tight. Family doesn't charge family. Family doesn't steal cars, I said, my voice not rising. Number 5, when I say no, I meant no. Not convince me. Not call me names until I cave. No. Zach put down his phone. You know, he said, you've always been a little rigid. And you've always been a little unemployed, I said before I could stop myself. He flinched. Nora glared. But the room went very, very quiet. Mom tried something else. You're hurting your sister, she said softly. She's sensitive. I nodded. She is. I'm not punishing her. I'm refusing to sacrifice myself to protect her from consequences. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I let that sit. I'm closing the account you've treated like bottomless. Dad shoved back his chair. You talk like a banker. I talk like a person who pays his own bills. He pointed at the folder. Tear it up. I won't, I said. But I will leave if this gets ugly. Mom stood. Leave then. I picked up the folder. I stood. Nora spoke quickly, panicked now. Aaron, wait. The car was, I didn't think. I was mad you said no. I know, I said. That's the whole problem. You assume my no is a challenge, not a boundary. Can't you just help this once? Mom said. For the ceremony? After everything. After everything. I said. I'm finally helping myself. I walked to the door. Dad called after me. Where are you going? Home, I said. To sleep. Mom's parting shot came fast and familiar. You don't walk out on family. I turned the knob. I'm not walking out. I'm walking away from being used. I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't drive because the van was blocked in. I walked 3 blocks to the bus stop, sat on a cold plastic bench, and felt my heartbeat settle like a weighted blanket. At home, I put my phone on the counter and made rice and eggs. I cleaned the pan. I set an alarm. Then, because I'm the one who built the shop's back end, I logged in and checked who had access to what. The family cards, the petty cash account, the vendor portals. I saw my sister's name on 2 places it didn't belong. I saw Zach's name on one, which set my jaw. I didn't go on a spree. I didn't punish. I updated access. I removed authorized users who didn't qualify. I reset the 2-factor authentication to my father's phone and mine. I documented everything. I created a new spreadsheet with dates, names, and the phrase for audit in the header. Then I closed the laptop, brushed my teeth, and slept like a person who had finally turned a key and locked a door. At 7:59 a.m., my sister received an unexpected message. I didn't see it, but I heard about it fast. It was a bank push notification. You have been removed as an authorized user from account ending 1278. Right behind it, another, declined, $6,000 at Garden and Grove events. Reason, card restricted. Then one more, from the venue, forwarded by Zach. Your payment did not go through. Your date will be released at noon if no alternative payment is received. At 8:02, my phone began to buzz. Nora. Mom. Dad. Nora again. I showered. I made coffee. I ignored the first 10 calls. On the 11th, I answered. Aaron. Mom blurted without hello. There's been a misunderstanding. No, there hasn't, I said, stirring sugar into my mug. You locked us out like we're criminals. I corrected access. Nora took the phone. Her voice was tears and angry air. You humiliated me. They sent me a decline message. Zach saw it. Good, I said. He should know the budget is real. You're trying to ruin my wedding. I'm trying to not finance a fantasy. She sucked in a breath. I was just kidding about the car. You took a thing that wasn't yours and it disappeared. That's not a joke. It's a cause and an effect. Silence. Then Mom again. What do we do? The venue says we lose the date. You pay with money you have, I said. Or you pick a different package. Or you move the date. Or you have a backyard ceremony and a potluck that is still a wedding because two people stand up and choose each other. That's cruel. It's honest. Dad called separately. Son, you can't just. I can, I said. Calmly. I set it up. I've been doing this for you for years. Now we respect the structure or you find someone else. What about the shop? Are you going to leave us in a lurch? No. I'll do the books this quarter if we sign a contract. After that, you hire a bookkeeper or keep me at the rate we agree. A contract, he repeated like it tasted bad. Yes. By noon, the calls slowed. By 3, I got a text from Zoe, the shop's part-time clerk. FYI, 2 guys came in asking for you. Police? Said they found a car matching your plate in a lot off Route 9. Towed to impound. I called. It was mine. The ignition was punched. The stereo gone. The keys were on the floor. The officer said, You're lucky. They usually strip them. I thanked him. I went to the lot with the paperwork. The fee hurt. The sight of my car, mine, hurt more. But under the ache was a weird peace. It wasn't a metaphor. It was metal. It was fixable. Or not. Either way, the numbers would tell me the truth. That evening, I turned my phone to silent and took a walk around the block in the cold. I counted steps. I counted breaths. I made a new whiteboard column titled After. The next day, Dad called again. His voice was smaller. We'll sign, he said. For the bookkeeping. Bring what we need. Tomorrow at 9, I said. At the shop. Your mother is upset. She'll live. And your sister? My gift stands, I said. The number I told you. Cash or a check. Nothing with my name on a contract I'm not party to. He exhaled. Okay. When I hung up, I felt empty and full at once. An odd combination. Like someone had wrung me out and I could finally dry. Nora texted at 10:14 p.m. We were just joking. Come back. Then, minutes later, please. I messed up. I stared at the screen. I typed, deleted, typed again. I landed on, I'll talk tomorrow. Noon. 30 minutes. Coffee. Neutral place. She sent a thumbs up. It wasn't an apology. It was close. At noon, she showed up in a sweater too thin for the weather. We sat by the window. She didn't do the baby voice. She didn't call herself sensitive. I hate you a little, she started, for making me look. I know, but I also get it. She looked out the window. Zach said something nasty last night. About how your money should circle back to me because blood. I heard it and I thought, that's exactly what I say. It sounded ugly coming out of someone else's mouth. I let the silence do its job. I can't afford the $18,000, she said. I told Mom it was non-negotiable because she always makes non-negotiable come true. What can you afford? I asked. She ran numbers on her napkin. 5,000. If we cut the quartet and the arch and do silk flowers for photos. That's a ceremony, I said. She nodded. I hate you a little less. I can live with that. We sat a while longer. She finished her coffee. I did take your car to be petty, she said, voice thin. I wanted you to feel something. I didn't think. I thought it would scare you, and then you'd say, fine. That's how it works with Mom. Yeah, I said. It used to work with me too. We signed the bookkeeping contract on a Tuesday morning. 10 lines. Scope, rate, due dates, who does what when. Dad's hand shook. Mom hovered and said, this is silly, twice. I printed a copy for them and one for me. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. The wedding changed shape. No string trio. No arch. A small backyard ceremony in Aunt May's yard under a maple tree with solar lights. Silk flowers that looked fine in photos. A Bluetooth speaker and a playlist. Zach tried to make a speech about how family shows up, and Mom shot him a look that shut him down. That was new. My gift was an envelope with a note for chairs and appetizers. No IOUs. Nora hugged me once, quick. She didn't cry. Also new. The car took time. Insurance covered part. I paid the rest. I fixed what I could, accepted what I couldn't. Somewhere in there, I stopped seeing it as what Nora did and started seeing it as what I allowed when I didn't have a line. The difference matters. It keeps the venom out of your mouth. At Sunday dinner a month later, Mom put a slice of cake in front of me with my name on it drawn in shaky chocolate. She cleared her throat. I used to say Nora's sensitive as an excuse, she said. I'm trying to stop saying it that way. Okay, I said. I didn't clap. I didn't make a speech about growth. I ate my cake. It tasted like butter and sugar, not like apology. That's how it should taste. Dad pulled me aside after. You saved the shop, he said softly. You deserve to be paid whenever you touch the books, even if one day you decide not to. He paused. I also shouldn't have asked about the ceremony like it was normal. It was normal for us, I said. Now it isn't. Nora texts less now. When she does, it's can I ask you something? Not, I need you to fix. Sometimes I say yes. Sometimes I say no. Sometimes I send a link. Sometimes I realize I don't need to be in the conversation at all. I wrote a new list on my whiteboard. 6 lines, big letters. I won't fund emergencies that were budgets in disguise. I won't be guilted into gifts. I won't participate in jokes where I'm the punchline and the wallet. I will charge for my work. I will say no and let it hang in the air. I will love you without doing your homework. It looks simple. It isn't. It's a daily choice. Some days, the old script scratches at the door. I hear she's sensitive, and my hand twitches toward my card. Then I look at the whiteboard. Then I breathe. If there's a moral, it's not fancy. It's not burned into wood or stitched on a pillow. It's this. Family is not a subscription you auto-renew with your boundaries turned off. Family is a relationship where love has a spine. My no is not a weapon. It's a doorstop that keeps me from being pushed into rooms I didn't agree to enter. This wasn't revenge. It was closure. I closed access that never should have been open. I closed the loop where my independence meant I had to cover for choices I didn't make. I closed the book on a math that never balanced. My name is Aaron. I'm still the brother who knows where the spare keys are. I just keep my own set in my pocket now. I'm still good with numbers. I'm better with limits. And if you ever want to know whether a boundary is working, check the ledger you keep in your chest. Mine, finally, reads in black.